Welcome back to Squad Anime. You're here with Q, David. No Q this week. He got hit with a sick fruit, but that's all right. We have the most important member, you. Today we're talking about One Piece chapter 1064 titled Egghead's Research Stratum. We've got a few juicy developments happening today, starting off with Blackbeard versus Law.
Yes.
Turning out to be quite the epic fight. I thought that Law was down for the count, but he's giving them hands. He's giving them hands, surprisingly.
Yeah, Law definitely held his own. So Law having, his fruit awaken, I think that was a real key point to increasing his strength. That he got a lot of development from the Big Mom and Kaido fight. So fighting Blackbeard and holding his own, he almost made his crew run away. That's really strong. And obviously Blackbeard has several ferocious devil fruits, being the Quake fruit and the dark
Yami
Nomi.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is not anyone easy to mess with.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but his crewmates, he has the warp fruit, the sick fruit. Jesus Burgess has the buff fruit. But it didn't seem like any of that mattered. Law was still able to hold his own, and his crew was able to actually back him up.
Yeah,
as well.
and I was surprised to see that they had the advantage on the water, right? So he has a couple crewmates that seem to be pretty agile in the water. It has some abilities that kind of help them snipe from the water. So that was also pretty interesting, because I think people kind of underestimate his crew because they haven't had the most screen time in One Piece history. So it was kind of nice to see that they can also hold their own and assist Law in this really tough battle.
Yeah. As Law said, that they have a bunch of anchors on their crew.
Yeah.
Or that Blackbeard has a bunch of anchors on his crew. So the fact that his crew is able to find that advantage in the water definitely helps. I think that something that's also interesting is on the cover of the chapter, we see that Aokiji is actually officially allied with the Blackbeard crew. Yes. So you see him standing next to Von Augur in front of Pudding, who is, Big Mom's daughter.
Exactly, and if you guys saw in the last chapter, there was a allude to this where we saw kind of everything was frozen over with Big Mom's pirates, and we could see a cameo of Pudding there. And obviously, everything being frozen was alluding to our man right here working with the Blackbeard pirates. This is definite proof right now.
Yes. So they have an old admiral on their crew.
So this is gonna help. As Blackbeard mentioned, he wants the poneglyphs from Law. And so this is, going to be important having Puddin', because her third eye will be able to read and decipher the poneglyphs for Blackbeard.
Yeah, that's right. So he won't need anybody like Nico Robin to read the poneglyphs. He'll just be able to understand it if she can awaken her third eye.
So yeah, Blackbeard's really cherry picking right now. He's just kind of waiting at the gold basket.
Yeah, he's smarter than people give him credit for. He's actually planning around how he's going to read these road poneglyphs and maneuver into being the most powerful pirate crew.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess at the end of their battle, they kind of end in a stalemate. Well, I don't think so, actually. We see that Blackbeard is using his Guru Nomi. Law tries to thrust with his attack, but Blackbeard starts activating his Black Vortex. So I think he's gonna negate Law's fruit powers and just go to town on him.
Possibly. I mean, for this fight to conclude, I don't think it's gonna be as simple as Law just wins. I think Blackbeard's gonna get something out of this altercation. Otherwise, there's no point to bring in Blackbeard, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's possible Law could escape, but he might not escape, fully unscathed.
No, not at all. And he might lose a lot more than just the road poneglyphs if he's not careful.
Yeah.
We move on from that fight. We get to see a cameo of Akainu telling them that they're gonna wait. They have to wait again. So I wonder what they were going to do prior to getting the information that Law and Blackbeard clash with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they were probably trying to gear up for a attack on Hashinosu, which is the home base of Blackbeard pirates, Flolet. Because I would think that they were gonna try to get Kobe back, but yeah. I'm not sure. I know that Akainu doesn't really like Kobe that much.
Yeah, I think Akainu is definitely probably waiting. Probably wants to also cherry pick, see who's weakened and try to go after them, and try to get the last crumbs or whatever. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if he does decide to help out with the Kobe situation.
It would be nice.
It would be nice. So moving on, we cut back to Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and Bonnie. And we see that Bonnie has used her fruit to change the age of this group. Jinbei's kind of, poking around to Bonnie hey, I thought, your father was a tyrant and stuff. He was known for being handed over the world government by his own people. And that's the story that everyone has heard, and it seemed pretty solid. And Bonnie kind of goes on to say that her dad has always hated the world government, and she thinks that her dad was tricked into working with the world government, and that she doesn't think like this is right. Earlier, she tried to defend this pacifista that looks like her dad from like Luffy and the crew from getting it to work.
Yeah, obviously it's not Kuma. But there are a lot of big reveals here. So first off, we understand that Kuma was in fact the tyrant of the Sorbet Kingdom, or at least that's the image that was sent out to everybody. But it seems like that might have been a government fabrication. We also find out that Kuma was a part of this race. We don't go into what that race is, but if I had to guess, I would say that the race has to do with the Lunarians.
Yeah.
Like we know that King is a Lunarian on Kaido's crew, and maybe, well, they have similar skin color. Kuma might have been aware of that being a Lunarian might set him up for danger. So maybe what he did was he dyed his hair black and he wears the hat to hide his hair color.
Oh, that could be true.
So I was thinking that was a possibility. Or it could have to do with Bonnie's fruit also, because I can see why this fruit would be very sought after by the world government.
Yeah.
Because remember, when Akainu captured Bonnie before the time skip, he didn't put her into Impel Down. It seemed like she was able to escape. I wonder why she was able to escape. You know, obviously it had to do with her fruit power, I'm guessing, but
Yeah.
she's an important character, I think, because of the power she has.
Right.
And Kuma was not willing to relinquish his daughter to the world government just because of her power. So I think that there's a lot more to this story that we haven't uncovered yet, and that I think is being covered up by the world government.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's definitely going to be, some reason that Kuma, it's not like he had really strong morals and stuff. Like, what can make him make this decision to, kind of turn his back on his people, leave his daughter, and become like a mindless zombie, like war dog for the world government.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of sacrifices that had to be made. Later on, we see that the Lil Vegapunk took the Straw Hats to meet Shaka. So then when we finally get to seeing Shaka, we find that Shaka is on the phone with somebody, and it turns out to be none other than
Dragon.
Obviously, it's Monkey D. Dragon, leader of the Revolutionary Army.
Mm-hmm.
Shaka says that his life is in danger. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? So number one, that shows us that Shaka and Dragon had a relationship, at least prior to this point. And it's not clear if Dragon knew the original Vegapunk, like before. The same way how we saw like Bonnie didn't seem to recognize like, oh, these like different, what do they call them, the Stellas?
Yeah, the different bodies.
Right? So it is interesting that Shaka is the one talking to Dragon, which could maybe lead us to believe that maybe Shaka is the one the most like the original Vegapunk, or maybe Shaka is the original Vegapunk. It hasn't really been confirmed yet if there's like one original body and 7 Stellas, or first Stella is original and then the rest are, these like clones of Vegapunks like Mind. So that definitely brings up a pretty good discussion topic right there.
Yeah, I think there are some interesting theories. A lot of people that I've talked to and myself has theorized that Kuma was involved with the Revolutionary Army, and Vegapunk was also involved with the Revolutionary Army. And I think that there's a lot more evidence to support that, because when we saw Kuma talking to Dragon in the Kamabaka Queendom, Kuma referred to Dragon as Master. There was the understanding that Kuma went through with being a pacifista, and I don't think that Kuma would have went through with being a pacifista if he didn't have like an ace up his sleeve. And I think that ace was Vegapunk being allied with the Revolutionary Army.
That's definitely possible.
And then another thing to note is that Vegapunk introduces himself as a genius for hire. So if they were hired by the Revolutionary Army to subvert the world government's project, then, well, there you go.
Absolutely, and it's totally possible that these different Stellas have different alliances, based on which Stella you're talking to. They might not necessarily all be alliance with the Revolution Army or all alliance with the world government. It does bring up a good chance for some internal conflict.
Yes.
But I was a little bit surprised to see that Vegapunk was kind of admitting that he would die, only because, like he has all these magnificent weapons, all this equipment. Like it seems like he could put up a pretty decent fight from, whoever they send out from the world government, or at least be able to evade his capture.
Right. But you also have to understand that when he says that he might die, maybe he's not referring to himself, or he could be referring to just himself as in his unit, or the other units dying,
Yeah.
or
the original body.
Or the original body, yeah, because it gets really tough without seeing the full layout of Vegapunk's, I guess, consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we get closer, I think that Vegapunk would want the Straw Hats to know his connection to Dragon.
Yeah.
And that would be the interest that he has in that crew, because obviously Luffy is Dragon's son. And I would just want to see like what it is that Zoro would want. Yeah.
Well, I feel like Zoro's interest, I feel like it has to be something related to maybe one of his cursed swords, or maybe I brought this up before, but Zoro's eye. I would really have wondered why
You just want a Sharingan.
Yeah, I want the Sharingan. He's gonna have some unlocked potential.
That
like,
Rinnegan.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
That
Like
Hawkeye.
yes, he has to have something that he's like interested in, right? Because Vegapunk is the smartest individual in the world. I'm sure Zoro has something that he's interested in, maybe for himself, like something to help him like kind of jump up in power, or something that he wants, whether it's like a new sword or something.
Yeah. Well, that covers all our theories for chapter 1064. And of course, like, comment, leave any theories that you guys have in the comments, and we'll be sure to discuss them. And until next time, squad out.
Squad out.